Oh, man.
Just leave the bass player hanging on that one G, you know?
Mr. Cory Wong, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Of course.
Interview you. Man, we've been friends for a while, but I've been hesitant to ask you to do this. You know, you're a busy man. You're either on the road, you know, with the Fearless Flyers, your own band, or with Vulfpeck, and I'm just so honored that I get to be sitting here across from you to talk about your music and get to hear some great songs, just like
happy to do
Lilypad.
it. Yeah.
So since we started with Lilypad,
yeah,
I want to talk about the gear, how this came together.
Yes.
The session. So let's start first with gear. Was it the #1 hit maker here that was on that, or was it the Cory Wong signature guitar?
This is pre-signature guitar. And the funny thing is, yes, people refer to this as the #1, but it actually, I refer to this as #2.
Because it's crap?
It's total crap. No, this is actually this is my second Highway 1.
Okay.
Okay, so my Highway 1, #1, the one that I got when I was a teenager, I got at, what was that place called? Music Go Round.
Okay.
Music Go Round. It's like this used,
yeah.
Well, it's a used music store in Minneapolis.
Okay.
It was on Lake Street or Lindale. No, it was on Lindale. Whatever, doesn't matter. Getting in the weeds. I just found this, it was like the only American Strat I could afford.
Yep.
So I wanted an American Strat. I wanted a rosewood fretboard with 22 frets. I don't know why. I just felt like I needed it. Got that. Had that for years.
Same color as this?
Same exact color.
Okay.
I went on a trip and I went on Craigslist. I got this weird call like, hey, somebody was outside your house when you were gone. I don't think it was anything weird, but like somebody was outside your house. Okay, whatever. Like nothing. They're like, it looks fine. Like the door's closed. No window looks broken. My neighbor had called and told me. So I'm hanging out at a friend's house after a trip. Still haven't gone home yet. I go on Craigslist and I see a guitar that looks exactly like my Highway 1. I'm like, no way. $300. I'm raising money because I'm running a marathon or something. And it's like kind of a weird story.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I think that's my guitar. It looks exactly, the scars were all in the same places.
Yep.
I think that's my guitar. My neighbor, maybe somebody stole it. So I was like, screw it. I'll go buy my guitar back for $300. Not even like a certain in my mind that my guitar was stolen, whatever. So I go to this guy's house. I buy the Highway 1 Strat for $300. It's like it's like within 6 serial numbers of my other one. It wasn't my guitar. It was a different one. It just looks the exact same.
Yeah.
And it's seriously same day in the factory.
Wow.
Yeah. And I went and I bought it. And so then I had 2 of these Highway 1 Strats. And I ended up trying different pickups in all of them. So in the other set, in my number 1 Highway 1 Strat, I had like the Everything Axe set, the Seymour Duncan, like stacked humbucker, blah, 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 blah. And then, I traded a bunch out of that one. And while that one was getting worked on, I would play this one. Then it's like, I don't like the pickups in this one. So I'll have somebody change those and I'll just use the other one. And I landed on the Seymour Duncan Antiquity Surfs.
Okay.
And those were in this one. And I just liked the pickups the best. I was like, I'm just going to use this guitar more. So I just ended up using my number 2 guitar.
But you still have the first one.
Now, number 1's still in use all the time. It's at the studio. Like number 1 is what I used on Deantown and the whole Beautiful Game album.
Yeah.
And number 2 is the one that I had on the road and probably played a lot more shows with.
Okay.
Also, because it's number 2 and it wasn't the one that I grew up playing, I was more comfortable just like throwing it in the mono case and checking it everywhere I flew.
Yeah.
To know, I've never had a problem. I always check it. But
in original frets on this, so you never had it refretted?
This one, I had one of them refretted. You tell me. I'm pretty sure that looks like a refret. Oh no, look at that. Look at that 12th fret.
Yeah.
Oh, this needs a refret. Look at
that. No, it looks like original frets. It doesn't look like much has been disturbed over here.
That's why it's out of tune.
Well, we helped you ID at least one thing.
At least one thing that we need fixing. And I think at one point I dropped this off at Theo Katzman's Tech's place.
Okay.
Like in the middle of Lansing, Michigan.
Okay.
You drive out.
Right.
And
he makes pedals too, I think, if it's the same guy I'm thinking of. Because Theo,
I think his name's Tom.
Okay.
And he was just like, look, this guitar needs work. You're going to need to leave it with me for a month. And he just said all this stuff that it needed done. And I
so it's got the Graph Tech nut.
Yeah, I don't know. That was years ago. And that must have been the other guitar, because I'm pretty sure he refretted it. Okay. This, I don't know, at some point, a Graph nut, somebody convinced me like, oh, it's going to sound better. Okay, whatever. I'll kind of like trust anything a guitar tech with confidence says to me. Right. Like, dude, you need this. I'm like, all right. Yeah. I just know how to play it, man. So I ended up, the reason why this one ended up being more used is just only because this is what this had the pickups that I ended up liking. Yeah. And then when I was working on developing a set of pickups with Seymour Duncan, we changed them out to be what are now the Clean Machine pickups, which is basically a hotter wound Antiquity Surf. And it's an Alnico 4 magnet. We landed on all that because I thought the Antiquity Surfs, when I hit on any sort of drive, they were a little bit fuzzy in the top end. Okay. Or something. The top end was like zzz, and I wanted it a little more... A little rounded. Yeah. You know, I know that I could say this to you and you understand what I'm saying. I feel nuts knowing that there's people on the other side of the screen like... There's a whole lookup table for this that you just have to develop as a collector of guitar gear. Yes. So this was what would have been used though on Lilypad? Yes, I used this and I plugged direct into my Apollo Twin and I went into the Archetype Cory Wong. This actually, I can tell, this is a beta version of, like this is a beta preset. This is the newest version of the plugin, but the Cory default. I made this as my default for when you.
So we're gonna have to maybe in B-roll we'll get either a screenshot or something like that of these settings. So if people want to go to Neural DSP and they want to download the plugin, they can get your settings.
Well, no, this is now just the default.
Oh, it's just how it comes.
Yes. So I needed to we did several versions of the plugin iterations.
Yep.
They were like, we're done. I'm like, no. It doesn't, like, it's algorithmically correct, but it doesn't feel right. Yeah. So we did 3 or 4 more iterations until it was like, yes, we're both so stoked. And this, I wrote Cory default, like this, and anytime I pull this up, this is just what I would do. And then now this is the default patch. Yeah. For the plugin. So it's just the guitar in that. Guitar right into this. And you can see from, like, this is the actual session. So you can see I had, well, let's go in here. What did I have? A little bit of Pro Q3, a little bit of EQ, a little bit of Wolf compressor, a little bit of an Echo Boy, just, I don't know why. A slapback or something like that? A tiny bit of just... Yeah, it's got 1.2 milliseconds on it, it looked like. It's negligible. Yeah. Just, I bought the plugin and wanted to turn it on. Yeah. I think that's probably what was happening. Now, I think this is as good a time as any to let people know who are watching this that we actually have a special discount code for anybody that is interested in purchasing a Cory Wong plugin. They can use the coupon code Vertex and get 30% off any plugin on the Neural DSP website. That's 70% away from free is the way I like to think about it. That is. And so you might as well go over there, head over to Neural DSP, use the coupon code Vertex, again, get 30% off any of the plugins that you're choosing, including the Cory Wong Clean Machine. And there's also other ones on there like for bass DI and... Yep, that's what I use for bass on all my recordings. Yep. Honestly, since this plugin came out, it's basically all that I've used on any of my records. Yeah, it's an amazing clean sound. In fact, we use this on our interview, Charlie Hunter. This is all we use for the guitar side. So yes! Yeah. Now we're talking. Yeah. So it is approved by many guitar players. So we've played a little bit of Lilypad. In terms of band on that, was that just Wong notes, like standard Cory Wong band stuff? And was that done in a studio or was it kind of like everybody was siloed? Do you remember? This was off the Striped album. So this would have been 2020. It came out during the Pandy Express. Yeah. So Pitar on drums. My friend Marty Fisher played some synth, and so Pitar recorded the drums in Nashville. Marty Fisher recorded percussion and synths in Berlin. Okay. I thought it was me on bass when we got here, and then I was playing through it, and I'm like, no, this is not me. This is Seth. Okay. I think I recorded it on bass, and then thought I wanted somebody to give it a little bit of a different thing. Yeah. So it's Seth Tackaberry on bass. Okay. And the horns are basically the horn heads, the guys that play in my band normally. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's move to another song, one with your namesake that you did with Vulfpeck, Cory Wong. I'm curious, how did this song come about? Like, how did you get a song? Nobody else has a song named after them in the band for Vulfpeck. So why does Cory Wong get his own song? Well, how did this come about? The fans named the song. Really? Yeah. Right. So I'm trying to think of what year it was. I first met the guys in Vulfpeck at Bunkers. Okay. At the hang that I used to do, weekly gig in Minneapolis. And a lot of the guys came and hung out and saw the band, and then we just kind of hit it off and became friends. I was going to LA a lot at the time, doing a bunch of work and sessions and things. And Jack invited me over to his house one day. I was like, hey, let's do a little jam session. And we did this tour vlog thing. And it's just like tour vlog, whatever, Cory Wong. And it was Joe, Joey, Theo, Jack, and I just kind of hanging out. Just played over a thing. He's like, oh, let's just jam over this. And then let's go to this chord change. And then we'll just whatever. Literally just sat down. It's the first time I ever played music with any of those guys. It's on film, which is really fun. Yeah. And just played that jam. And then, so at the time, Vulfpeck was really just kind of Jack's YouTube channel. Yeah. There was no vision for it being a band. Yeah. It's not going to be a band. Yeah. It's just going to be a YouTube channel, just like a thing. Yeah. And then eventually kind of started playing stuff live and to have enough material, it was just like, oh, let's play that one thing. And then the fans were asking about set lists, and that didn't have a title. So the fans would just say Cory Wong.
Wow.
And then eventually Jack wanted to record it for an album. And then once it really started to become like, oh my gosh, this is a band now thing. It was just, like with the Beautiful Game album, that was a tune that he wanted to do. Was the fans call it Cory Wong. We'll just
call it Cory Wong,
I guess.
So what year was it when you first met them? What year would that have been? Because the Beautiful Game album didn't come out until 2016.
Really?
I think it was 2016. Is that right? I think it was 2016.
Huh. I thought it was 2015. I do not trust me.
Maybe
you're right. You probably.
I don't know.
It up.
I looked it. Yes. I looked it up, but it's not the first time.
Oh yes, actually, you know what? Because
Wikipedia has been wrong.
I was on tour with Ben Rector in 2015. Maybe early 2016. We played in Los Angeles, and I skateboarded over to have breakfast with Jack.
Okay.
He was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna record a new record in a couple months. Can you come out for the week?" Like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So yes, this was post touring with Ben Rector. You are right. It must have been 2016.
Do you remember where it was recorded? Was at his place, or did you guys go?
It was at Tyler Duncan's house in Michigan.
Okay.
In Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Which is, sometimes you see the basement, like Deantown, Lonely Town, Cory Wong. A lot of that record was recorded in Tyler's basement.
Uh-huh.
And upstairs, you see a living room, like the song Mr. Finish Line, and a handful of others, I can't remember right now, were recorded in Tyler's living room upstairs. And then in the backyard at Tyler's house was the song Tea Time and also LAX.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff happened at Tyler's, just kind of in different areas.
Yeah.
But he's an old college friend of the rest of the band. I'm the only one that didn't go to the University of Michigan.
Okay.
It is a U of M band.
Yeah.
Because I went to University of Minnesota, so call the U of M band. But Tyler is good friends from school, and I feel like I went to college with Tyler too, just because of how much history we have. But just kind of feel like
yeah. And would it have been this guitar? Or would that have been the number one? Your duplicate with
that would have been. I'm pretty sure that was the number one, and it was the Everything Axe set.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that is that it sounds like a single coil though in the context of the record. Like I wouldn't say when you hear it you're like, oh.
Well, no, I think it's just a stacked humbucker.
And then are you splitting it to get the?
No, and then I had just regular.
Oh, it's only a stacked humbucker in the bridge.
I believe so.
Because there's some that I've seen where it looked like you had stacks in every position at certain generations of it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't actually. I mean, you could ask the guy at Willie's Guitars or Ted Vig. I had my guitars at 2 different guitar shops just to get pickups swapped out.
Yeah,
because I don't know how to do it myself. So
right. Well, in any case, it sounds incredible. And was that also all in the box? You wouldn't have had your plug-in at that time. But what were you
I would have
using
just
for that sound?
Recorded anytime I've ever done. Actually, anytime Vulfpeck has ever recorded, it's all just DI. And it would have been into Tyler's Apollo.
Okay. And Vulf Compressor was out at that point or not yet?
I don't remember. I know that Jack loves using the soft tube bass amp.
Okay.
I think it's the UAD soft tube bass amp. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Okay.
On this song. And honestly, it's one of my favorite guitar tones that I've had. Jack is a great mixer. He knows how to really...
Yeah, some of that Vulf University stuff, you can really see his prowess in terms of his ability. And no compression that would have been added, you think, in post to that? Or...
I'm sure he added some sort of Vulf compressor or something. I mean, he's got a pretty serious master bus. Yeah. It's a laughable master bus, but obviously it works. Anybody who's seen Jack's mixing course knows. Yeah. It's when he first explained it to me, it was that's hilarious, but it works. And it's amazing. Yeah, he's incredible. Well, I'm wondering if we can pause for a moment and have you play a little bit of it for us. Yeah,
so
totally. Let's do it. Out of time. Well, God, that part's out of time at the end. It's funny because it starts with the studio recording and then it switches to this live recording from our show at the Teragram.
Okay.
In LA. And but it's like he layered Theo's drums over the top of it. So when it gets to the ending, that's my guitar that I just recorded, but it's just like this live recording, and then it's Theo's drums also. It's kind of weird, but it's really cool. Makes it unique. But yeah, the ending's out of time. Forgot that.
All good. All good. Sound incredible. Well, I think this is as good of a time as any to talk about the guitar that I'm actually holding here, because if people want to have the sound of the Cory Wong Strat, they obviously can't buy number 1 or number 2, but what they can buy is the Cory Wong signature Strat from Fender. So tell us about, we've already heard a little bit about the pickups and about how it was originally the Antiquity Surf, slightly hotter. Is that in all 3 positions? It's that pickup and it's just voiced for the neck, middle, and bridge, or are there anything
Little surprise, this is a stacked humbucker.
All right.
I always think that just standard single coil Strat bridge pickups sound too thin and they don't have enough body to them, but I cannot stand the look of a humbucker in the bridge. It just doesn't feel right. So stacked humbucker here.
But in disguise.
In disguise.
Look at that. You can hardly tell.
You would never
You can never tell that that is not a single coil.
That's right.
Beautiful.
And I don't even, it's like, it's not even worth saying it's a stacked humbucker. It's just a thicker single coil in my mouth. Like, you know.
Right.
But whatever. Yes, it's a humbucker.
And then in the back here, I noticed you have this push. Tell us about this.
This is the 4th position panic button. So because my hand is like a dead fish flopping around, or almost dead fish.
Right.
Just caught fish, wanting to get back in the ocean, but it's on the deck
or
of your
lake
boat.
If you're here in Minnesota.
Yes. That's my hand, and I end up always hitting the pickup selector, which is why I had this tape on here. So if no matter where the pickup selector is, if this is out, it's in 4th position.
Got it.
Or here, it's, this is good.
Otherwise, as far as where the tones are wired, is it a traditional Strat wiring?
Yep.
So no tone control in the middle?
Correct.
Pickup. Okay, got it.
Correct.
Any other Easter eggs that we need to know about as far as the Cory Wong Strat is concerned?
Yeah, so basically, some people ask, well, why is it such an expensive guitar if it's based on a Highway 1? Really, the only thing that's the same as the Highway 1 is the color influence and the fact that it's rosewood. The rosewood 22 frets, pearloid pickguard, and the trans nitro finish.
Yep.
Nitro trans, whatever it is. I don't. But other than that, like the neck is a really fast, modern D-shaped neck, kind of like the Fender Ultra series.
Yep.
That's loosely what it's based off of. And then the body is 3% smaller than the average Strat.
I also just say, though, comparatively even to this one, because I was just holding it, that's quite a bit lighter than this.
It's lighter. It's pretend as if somebody started daydreaming while they were sanding your Strat, and they ended up sanding it for 20 extra minutes. That's all that we're talking about.
And that used to happen at Fender if Dolores, had just taken her smoke break.
Exactly.
And she got a little bit wild on the sander. That would have some of those old Strats are not exactly uniform across the board.
Which there's a story with that. Well, let's just get right into it because we're here.
Yeah.
So I asked Fender, I said, I want the body a little bit smaller. I've played a ton of Strats. I feel like the ones that are a little bit smaller have a faster and more direct transient when I play. And in the rhythm guitar, I want that transient to be immediate.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Strats that I played that were a little bit smaller, or S-style guitars that were a little bit smaller, had a faster transient.
Yeah.
It just responded quicker. Yeah. Like a tighter turning or something when you're driving. And they were like, "You're nuts. No, that I don't know. Like we're gonna have to build entire new molds. We're gonna have to do this. It's like, well, look, please, can we just? You don't have to build a new mold. Literally, just have somebody sand it for 20 minutes longer, or have somebody sand it for 60 minutes longer. I don't know. You don't have to build a whole new mold. Just like give me this, and make it a little smaller." Like, yeah. Well, let's render it up and see if we like the way it looks, and whatever. And then eventually, Nile Rodgers was doing a remake of the Hitmaker guitar, and they found the exact serial number. They said, okay, this is the day it was made on the factory. We know everything, all the exact specs. We're going to make you a Hitmaker. They made an exact replica based on all the data from all their serial numbers, blah, blah, blah. They sent it to me. He's like, this guitar is bigger than mine. Like this isn't the same guitar. This is big. They're like, no, it's the exact one. He's like, no, it doesn't feel like there's something in the attack. It's too big. It needs to be smaller to get the right attack. It's like, no way, you're nuts. Like we made it the exact thing. He's like, I've been playing this guitar for decades. I know what it should feel like. It's heavy. Yours is heavier. It's bigger. Turns out somebody sanded Nile Rodgers' guitar for just a little too long. Yeah. And his guitar was a tiny bit smaller. And they were just like, okay, so both you and Cory want these smaller guitars to get the transient faster. Yeah. There must be something to it. Yeah. And we did it, and it turned out we did a few different versions, and this is what we ended up landing on. And then I also wanted to compensate a little bit by having a tiny bit more wood in the headstock to give it a little more sustain. And it really, to me, gave me the best of both worlds because I have the fast attack because of the smaller body, and I have a little more sustain from here. So it makes it a really versatile
It's
guitar.
alder body for this?
Yes.
Yeah. And just a comment, and also you have the shoulder here too, because it's a little bit sanded.
Yes, the more modern, well, if you can show. So
yeah, so here's
traditional
an original Strat. It's more squared.
And this one, kind of the modern, this right in here, your hand just fits better. It's
easier
faster.
access, yeah. To
even just up here, it's just a lot easier access all around. So, yeah,
beautiful. Well, it's a beautiful playing guitar. I kind of spent some time with it here before, and it's absolutely amazing.
Thanks.
And people shouldn't be sleeping on the Highway 1 Strats either. I mean, because the truth of the matter is, at this time, most American Strats were all poly finishes, and this was rare that you would find a nitrocellulose guitar at a price point that was below what an American standard was. Yeah. And so they were kind of sleeper guitars for the people that knew that you could get a fully nitro, because you wouldn't get this type of wearing if it were a poly. Poly guitars kind of wear poorly. Yeah. And so this has like a beautiful, kind of nice natural relic to it. Yeah. And that means
this one's on its way.
Your Cory Wong is going to get there too.
Yeah, this one's on its way. So this one is straight off the rack at Sweetwater. So anytime I see a Cory Wong Strat, I want to go play it just to make sure, do some QC. Yeah. Sometimes it's just cut from the right piece of the tree. Yeah. It's just,
this is one of those.
This is what I picked it up. I was like, I'm going to need this one. Yeah. I'll send you a replacement, but I'm going to need it. So I marked it. But also I don't get too attached to them because I play all the ones that I touch. So sometimes at the end of a tour, I'll sell the guitar or auction it off, the guitar that I was playing on tour.
Yeah.
And I'll donate all the money to this organization, Free Guitars for Kids, where they give guitars to kids who wouldn't be able to afford guitars. And then I just find another favorite Cory Wong Strat, and it's good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we will have a link to our friends at Sweetwater and their direct link to the Cory Wong signature Stratocaster. So if you're interested in checking one out, our friends at Sweetwater do sell them among other retailers of Fender instruments. So do check those out. And again, we'll have that link in the description for people who want to check that out. I want to move, Cory, to some of your work as Cory Wong and your solo career, and specifically Light as Anything off of the Optimist.
Yes.
I want to know, as far as gear is concerned, this guitar probably wasn't out yet. Was it still number 1 or number 2?
Let's look at the video. There's a video online.
Have you played it?
Well, yeah, there's a video of the session. What did I play?
What's your money on? Telly? Strat?
By the way, don't look at my algorithm here. My kids are on my computer, okay? This is not me. My kids, see, look, Mario Brothers, Halloween, Luigi's Man. I don't know what this is. How to pronounce Fortnite. What? Blur that out. Blur that out. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Not a Telly. Yeah, it's not the humbucker, I don't think.
No. Well, look at the rashes. That's this guy.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah, you can see it's a little more worn out since then.
Yep.
So you see this, that tells me that it's this guitar. Yep. So it would have been this guitar with Seymour Duncan, Antiquities, and I would have probably been going through this is pre-plugin. I would have been using the UAD Ampeg SVT.
Okay, so a bass amp again.
A bass amp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then compression, were you using Wolf Compressor at that point?
It would have been a Wolf Compressor, and I'd probably used an Ego compressor on the way in.
Okay.
Into the UAD Ampeg SVT, and then a Wolf compressor afterwards.
Awesome. And then band-wise there, I mean, I could see there's Pitar, there was Dr. Gastongue.
Yes.
Who else was in there?
So for a while, I was doing this thing called a palindrome,
where
it was Steve Gould and Pitar playing drums side by side. One person would kind of have kick control and kind of be the main beat, and the other person would play kind of percussion style, and then they'd switch off.
Okay.
So it was fun, kind of mirror image. Because a lot of times when I see bands with 2 drummers, it's like, no, there's just too much going on. Nobody's agreeing on the kick, and it's slamming, and then there's also the bass. Just like, I just have one person play the groove and the other person play stuff.
Yeah.
So that was the approach with that. So Kevin McIntyre on bass, Kevin Gastongue on keys, and John Fields. We recorded at his studio. He played.
Where is that located?
In Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, okay.
Yep. And then Robbie Wolfson singing.
Awesome.
And I think, was Elliot Blofus playing keys on this, or playing on that too? Let me see. Oh man, now my history's out there. Nope, Elliot wasn't there yet. He was at the session late, I think. Not because he was late, because I said, "Oh yeah, show up at 3."
Yeah.
So this must have just been Kevin. Robbie's vocal, we recorded at Don Was's house.
Oh, really?
Because Henry is a friend of ours.
Okay.
So, sorry, it's Henry's house, but I show up at Henry's house, and there's all this music stuff and all these awards. So I'm like, Henry, dude, like, what band are you? And he's like, oh, it's my dad. It's like, who's your dad? Don Was. I'm like, your dad's Don Was?
Yeah.
Anyways, Henry has a dope band called Thumpasaurus. So we tracked some stuff at his house. I didn't even know who his dad. I didn't know that was his dad.
I always thought he was from. So Don lives out here in Minneapolis, or because
no, this was in LA.
Guy. Okay, this is in LA. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Henry's a good friend of Robbie and I, and he just had a place available. So
awesome.
We did it there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's funny looking at this. I'm now remembering. It's funny. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to hear a little bit of it.
Let's play it.
If you're willing to play a little?
Let's play it.
Time
kind of had to remember that. Yeah, I think we've only played that song like 3 times live.
Really?
Nope, that's a lie. Robbie was on tour with us. We probably did it 12 times.
Okay. And for like lyrics, like on that song, was that stuff that he wrote, or that you wrote the lyrics and then he just sang them?
So I sent the rhythm track and I said, here's some kind of shape of things I'm thinking. Here's some ideas and concepts. He sent over a bunch of different verse options, chorus options. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I just went back, oh, I like this sort of imagery. I like this. Let's change the idea of this to this. Let's dial this thing in. He came back with another draft, and then I kind of picked apart a few different words and just dialed it in a little bit more. But it was kind of him coming at me. What do you think of this? Oh, this is great, but let's change this. And then he would interpret that and then come back and we'd kind of go back and forth.
And would that be emblematic of most songs of yours that have a vocalist, that you would kind of go back and forth with them, or would it be different depending on the song?
Totally different depending on the song. Sometimes I'll have a much stronger concept that I'll come forward with. Sometimes I'll just send something and say, go wild. Mm-hmm. And I'll always have some sort of feedback and some sort of thing, because in the context of things that are going to be on my album, and sometimes we'll just sit down and, like, Cody Fry and I will sit down and just write together, like the song Power Station. We just sat down and wrote it. So
that's awesome. Well, I want to go to another Vulfpeck song that was written, or came out at least in terms of the years, 2018, and Disco Ulysses here.
Yes.
So on that song, was it kind of a typical Vulfpeck session as far as this came together? Was it just like everybody in the room, or did one person write it and then everybody else kind of developed their parts, or how did that work?
Yeah, so a typical Vulfpeck session is we're just all in the room, and Jack will say, here's this seed of an idea. Let's bloom it into something together. Sometimes it'll be, hey, you played this riff at this thing. Let's build off of that. Hey, you were doing this thing. Can we build off of that? On Disco Ulysses, I think he had an idea for that sort of chord thing. If I remember right, he was kind of, listening to a lot of Nile Rodgers and whatever, and was just like, hey, this is a cool...
It kind of has a little bit of I Want to Be Your Lover, a little bit of it.
Yeah. With some of that, this... especially in there, too, same key. But, Jack had that idea. I don't remember... I think maybe that's all that we started with, is just that little... that sort of thing, and then just kind of built on it from there. Came up with a form. In those sessions, there's no headphones, there's no click. It's just us in the room kind of figuring out, here's this section. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to this section. Mm-hmm. Go back and forth between them. Does it need something else? I don't remember exactly how that went through. And a lot of those sessions, it's just kind of a blur of, you have to be very present in the moment for about an hour, and then that's it.
So they're pretty quick in terms of just like getting together the idea, tracking it, and then it's cut, and then that's it.
Yep. Normally just a few takes. I think this one we maybe did 2 or 3 takes.
And is that just core members like you, Theo, Jack, Woody?
I think that one was, Theo played guitar, Joe played bass, Jack was on drums. I'm only saying these things because sometimes Jack and Theo are playing other things. Joe and I are always on guitar and bass. Yeah. Woody and Joey were on keys.
Okay.
Although maybe in the end, it might have been cool to have Joey play sax on something too. But I think if there was another keyboard player, we would have probably had Joey played sax or something. But yeah.
And would that have been sort of the typical DI and then using the a plugin for the...
I have no idea what Jack did to it. I was surprised. Sometimes Jack will put some sort of slapback or something on my guitar. It doesn't sound at all like he used a amp sim on it. Yeah. To me, it just sounds like straight up direct.
Yeah.
Kind of Prince style. Yeah. And, one of the things that I did on my plugin to emulate it is I picked I have this like SSL console DI thing going. So if I was to recreate the sound, I would use this.
Yeah.
A little bit of compression. And I know that Jack loves to use the UAD. I'm pretty sure it's the UAD version of the Roland Space Echo.
Okay.
So that's probably what was used. I've seen him pull that plug-in up all the time. So I'm pretty sure he uses that on Joey's sax a lot. And I think he used that on my guitar for this. But I never really asked.
And then live, in terms of compression, you would just be using
the Wong compressor.
Wong compressors. I think this is a good time to mention that if you were unaware that Cory has a signature compressor.
That's right.
Originally, you were an ego compressor guy, and then you and the great people over at Wampler, including...
It's plugged in, so I got to unplug it.
Brian Wampler himself did a specially voiced Cory Wong edition that has 2 foot switches, a DI out. What are some of the key differentiators of, let's say, the ego comp that you used for many years versus the Wong compressor?
So this one, again, I think... The Ego Comp is a very great overall compressor. There was a few things in it. I think that one was trying to do a specific thing, emulate something else.
It's kind of based, I think, roughly around the Ross, but it had a parallel blend and a lot of different controls that you would have never had on a Ross style compressor.
And I couldn't care less what anything is emulated after. I just wanted to sound the way that I wanted to sound. So I wanted to make some tweaks to make it be more just complementary to my guitar thing, both lead and rhythm. And because a lot of the way that I record with Vulfpeck is DI, I wanted this to be able to act as a DI. And a lot of bass players love this compressor because it's a compressor with a blend knob. It's got a boost. And the boost I wanted to be either just a flat, just turn the volume up, or one of my second favorite boost I've ever used. Like, I think the best clean boost is the Vertex just boost. And that one does a great job just being a good boost pedal.
Yeah, but it would normally our boost would come much later in the chain, whereas this would be very early.
This one's early, so it's a different thing. And then my second favorite boost is in the Clapton,
the mid boost. The TBX.
Yes. So I wanted this to kind of have either option. Because that's a little guitar-y of a boost. If you're like guitar player person and want to have a boost, you might want that mid boost thing, because it's a little bit, it's kind of a Tube Screamer-esque as far as how it shapes the EQ, but not the drive. You know, so I wanted the option of kind of Vertex style boost or the Clapton mid boost thing. And then the DI in it just kind of gave it more options.
Super versatile. And these are also available from our friends over at Sweetwater, so we'll have that linked in the description if people are interested in getting it, as well as many other of the retailers of Wampler pedals and effects. I'd love to hear a little bit of this if you're willing to play a little.
Let's do it.
All right.
So if we just listen to the tone of the original... Right, it's a little bit of room and probably just a tiny slap back.
Little slap back, but it's got a lot of shimmer, like a lot of above 2K.
That is way more glassy than I would probably ever record in. But that doesn't mean that I don't like it. I love this sound. Actually, you know what? I made a Disco Ulysses preset for the archetype.
All right, well, there it is.
Now I know exactly what to use. Here we go. New track. I totally forgot. There's a... See if it holds up. Oh. Wow.
Yeah. There it is.
I guess I made a preset. How did I forget that I made this preset? Yo, that sounds dope. Again, it's not like a tone that I would normally just go straight to.
But when in the rare occasion where you have somebody asking you to play to the original tracks.
In the one time in my life, somebody's been like, yo, will you play along with the recording? I mean, that's it. No, it's not fifth position.
Yeah, it's not neck and it's neck and middle.
It's fourth.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think my instinct, if we were going for a Nile thing, would be
neck. Yeah.
Go fifth. But I'm going for my own.
Now, this
thing.
is a controversial thing. We should ask you about this. Some people call this one.
They're wrong.
Yeah, they're just wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong. They're flat out wrong.
I don't want to get you into any political discussion here, but...
Oh, by the way, was I at the Fender factory and everybody at Fender's referring to this as 5? Yeah. Am I wrong?
So Leo Fender has settled it from the grave.
Well, no, Leo was not there. I'll admit. Leo was not there when I...
So
Are you that? Do you think this is 1?
I always called this 1.
Theo always did too.
Yeah. Well, there's,
Are we gonna fight?
we're gonna model being good stewards. Of,
Hey, look, man, it doesn't matter what you call it, dude. As soon as it's on Spotify. Yeah, that's the sound.
Yeah.
I would maybe add a little more of a room thing. I think I simulated the room in the...
Well, this is great because you can get 30% off the plugin.
Look
Using
at this,
the coupon
dude.
code Vertex, the
plugins sell themselves, man. Yeah. Look at this. I forgot that we even did this. All right. There's no count in here because there's no click, so I don't know what I'm... Frick. Wasn't fit.
You trying to Nile Rodgers this thing.
Dude, I botched that. Dang it! There's no click. Well, how am I supposed to count my... I'm late. Hanging now, yeah.
And was it Theo or was it Jack on guitar? The other one guitar.
Theo. Double. I think we've been playing that as a single chorus live.
Yeah. Sounds like Theo is using a 335.
Oh, yeah. He had a little fuzz pedal, I think, too, later. Theo.
Got Jackson 5, but you gotta really go with the fuzz.
Maybe it's going. Kind of try. I was thinking about. I know at some point I was doing, and at some point I went to.
Sounded flawless.
And that second turnaround, it's a double. I think we've been doing a single live, and I think we were arguing about it at soundcheck once.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just fine as long as we all agree.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
But I think we had agreed at soundcheck this last run that we were just doing a half.
Yeah.
Fine.
Well, I love the song. It's incredible. I mean, it's just classic, man. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of, this is my editorialization here. I feel like there's not a lot of guitar players, we're the same age, I think, that have developed a sound that's just uniquely them. Like, they don't sound like anybody else.
Sure.
You really nailed that, man. And it's really incredible just to hear you do your thing and be watching. This is as close as I can put myself to a Vulfpeck section. So thank you for that. And the compression, everything about it just sounds absolutely amazing. I want to go to another one of the Cory Wong solo records.
Sure.
And that's Wong's Cafe and Smokeshow. But you also released that as a single too, right? Like before the album came out?
Yes. So again, kind of post Pandy Express, we were trying to figure out ways to have some fun Vulfpeck releases.
Yeah.
And Jack had the idea that we do a Vulf vault, and each person in the band kind of have a vault, a compilation vinyl that is their songs. So Antoine Stanley songs, all just on one record. Songs that Woody Goss composed, all on one. A record called Theo. And then when it came to mine, I thought, well, there is some songs, but it's not really a guitar-based band. So I thought it might be fun. I mean, it is to a certain extent, but it's different. It's not, it's like kind of Joe Dart is our Angus Young. It's like the band's more around the bass than it is around the guitar. And that's fine. Like that's the vision of the band. Great. So I thought for my Vulf vault, it would be fun to kind of resurrect some of these tunes that we had done at recording sessions but never got released.
Yeah.
And I could kind of produce around them and add other extra guitar layers that we never do for the albums because it's always just done right in the room. And there was a handful of songs that Jack was not really sure how to finish or what to do with. So he's like, yeah, just take all those sessions, whatever ones you want to do, finish them. And then he gave me a couple ideas. Oh, here's a prompt for this sort of thing. Do this. Here's a prompt for this sort of thing. Get Eddie Barbash to do one of his little do things. And there's this tune that Woody has that I haven't been able to figure out. Can you figure it out with him? And that ended up being Smokeshow. So yeah, this, that album ended up being my Vulf vault. And then because it was all unreleased material, we thought it'd be great to just also put it out as something on the DSPs, which is industry speak. Is it still even industry speak, or does everybody use that term? Does everybody use DSPs?
I don't know. Maybe we're in a bubble because we. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. So put it on Spotify. Yeah. So we did that, and it's great.
And so, who did you end up using for this, as far as personnel? For players and stuff like that. Was it all Vulf? Like, were you taking the existing Vulf sessions and then just layering new stuff on top of it? So it was all Vulf players, or did you bring in other people to supplement?
Yep. It was everybody from Vulfpeck, plus Eddie Barbash played on a couple things. Yeah.
That was the
On this particular song, I wanted Joe to record it, but he didn't have a remote recording rig at the time, so I ended up playing bass on this one. And Yeah, I think it's Woody and Jack and I maybe on this one.
And gear-wise, still DI, or was your plug-in?
So this one would have been all my plug. Actually, let's just look, because I know I did everything DI.
Okay.
I'll just pull up the session and we can see for ourselves. Okay, so what do I have going on here? Okay, so this is all the plugin, the companion pass preset. There's a song of mine called Companion Pass. This is just that preset on all these panned. Then these guys down here. These guys down here. I guess I like that preset that day. Is it all the same exact thing? Yes. You want to know why? It's because I just duplicate the tracks and it's like duplicate it, do it a second part, duplicate it, do a harmony, pan them hard left and right. All right, now do a harmony, pan left and right. And I'll just multiply these guitars, which is something that I don't ever get to do on Vulfpeck sessions because we're just in the room.
Right.
You know, I never overdub on that stuff. And
so Brian May would have never worked in Vulfpeck.
Oh, no. He would have been fired immediately. Oh, the squeal, though. This has got to be different.
That's got some gain on there.
That started with the companion pass, and I just turned on the overdrive.
Oh, the Tube Screamer style and the big rig overdrive.
Which is like a clon type.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's basically a Tube Screamer and a clon. Some surfy guitars. Greatest reverbs that exist currently. So yeah, some surfy guys. Oh, and then I did do a guitar solo. This is my Jay Graydon homage.
All right.
My Jay Graydon homage. Let's just play it. Just companion pass, turn on the...
Got a little peg in there.
Yeah. So it's basically I'm playing like the harmony part of, like, if you played the peg solo. All right, so like if you play the peg solos, I just did like what would be the harmony. If I were to play a harmony part to the peg solo, that's what the beginning of this is. Yeah, instead of... going... need a fret job, man. See, I'm... I just kind of kept going down.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, you know, it's all over a G. I was just thinking F triad and G triad. Yeah. Whatever. I've never played a guitar solo on a Vulfpeck album, so I was like,
Well,
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, well, I think people may mistake you for just a rhythm guy, but you absolutely shred. And seeing, you guys have a section of Cory Wong, and the Wong Notes where you do some Asia stuff. At least when I went and saw you last.
Yes,
and you're shredding all sorts of Steely Dan solos. So no, absolutely. And for live. For when I went and saw your live rig, I noticed that for one of the overdrives that you had our Ultraphonics on one of those.
Yes.
Is that something you might use for kind of the Dumbly, kind of Jay Graydon type thing?
Yeah. So basically, the 4 overdrives. So my home studio rig where I can just put everything out. Like my touring pedal board changes so much because sometimes I'm just flying in for a day and out. It's so much stuff to carry. So I have a little quad cortex rig, but if I can really do it, I have 4 overdrive pedals, 1 being the Ultraphonics, 2 being the Jackson Audio Optimist, 3 being the Barber Burn unit.
Oh yeah,
which also, by the way, is it an EQ pedal? It says it's an EQ, but it's not an EQ.
No, it's. I think it was intended to be a Dumble style thing as well. I think that was what the intention of that pedal was.
Yeah. Well, whatever. It's great. It's another kind of 2-channel, not kind of, it is a 2-channel overdrive. So those 3 and plus kind of some sort of TS9, but honestly the Optimist
has got that, and it's got like a Timmy thing, right? And it's got like a Klon thing in it, kind of sound in it. So you got a lot of versatility. Plus it has MIDI if you wanted to expand that. And again, all those pedals that we just talked about, whether it's Ultraphonics, whether it's the Optimist, whether it's a TS9, now not the Burn unit, because that I don't even know if it's made anymore.
I don't know, but actually the other one that I was using for a long time is the Steel String.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I remember
I was using the wide one.
Yeah, I remember in the first board I built you, I think we had an Ultraphonics and a Steel String right next to each other.
Yeah,
we'll pull up a picture that we'll put on screen here so people can see that one. But all those are available from our friends again over at Sweetwater. And if you wanted to pick up something like a Burn unit, Sweetwater actually has a very cool thing that they've recently launched called the Gear Exchange, where you can buy and sell used pedals secondhand.
Really?
And you can do a really cool thing, which is different than any of the other companies that offer sort of these reselling marketplaces, where you can keep 100% of your earnings so long as you put your money on a Sweetwater gift card. And if you're somebody like me that's constantly buying,
are you kidding me?
Gear, you get to keep all of your earnings. You don't have to pay that 10% in fees and all that stuff. You can
fees. They don't have a cut.
You get to retain it all so long as it's on a Sweetwater gift card. So it's almost like you get to create your own layaway program.
This is reading as an ad right now, but I'm genuinely interested.
Yeah, it's great.
No way. When did they launch this?
This has been a couple, maybe the second
I've been trying to sell this gear for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
It's his gear.
I love it.
All right, seriously, Sweetwater.
Yeah.
You can cut this if you want, but
no, so the Gear Exchange, think of it like, there's another, there's eBay and Reverb and stuff like that. And they're great for what they do, but there is a significant fee structure to those things. So if you sell it on Sweetwater, you put it onto a gift card, you can redeem it on anything for full value at Sweetwater, but you don't have to pay any of the fees.
Do I call my boy Anthony and just tell him?
Well, you have to set up your account, set up for free, no charge for the account. You list your stuff, and when it sells, you just say that you want the money on a gift card as opposed to being put into cash.
We're talking.
And then you just redeem it on the things that you're going to redeem it on. I've actually gotten lucky because when something is on sale, you don't have it doesn't matter as far as the gift card is concerned. So you save that 10%, plus if something's on sale 20%, it's like getting a 30% discount on it or something like that.
Just no guitar.
Is it bar bash?
That's bar bash.
Did he have a bullet when he did this one?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, something in there.
Jay
it fades out. They didn't let me go. The band faded out. Come on, guys.
Jay would have been proud. He would be proud.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get the.
I always wondered, like, you know, they never have said, but like, who are the other, like, whatever 10 guys that they?
You've seen the doc, right?
Right, but they don't say who the other people were. They just say.
You know, I think I know 3 of them.
I'm pretty sure Robin Ford's one of them.
Robin Ford is one of them.
Yeah. I'm just curious what those takes sounded like. I'd love to just like hear those takes.
Well, you can hear some of the people's takes on the Asia doc.
Oh, you can.
And Walter and Donald are just sitting there mocking the guitar players, just ripping them. I mean, they don't say which person is which, but if you know the guitar players of that time, you can tell who's who.
Yeah.
And you can tell who's confused.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer. But you know, hey, it's actually kind of fun because, you know, like even there in this little, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm laying into it right. But you know, you like occasionally just don't play your best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Right. I think every session musician has invariably had a bad day. You know, that's just the way that it goes, unfortunately. Yeah. Man, but that's such a cool song. I love that. That tone is incredible. And so we talked a little bit about, on your live rig, you would have, you know, if you can bring pedals, the situation allows for you to do that.
Yep.
You'll have up to 4 overdrives. What are some of the other devices that you would have on your pedal board? I know on the ones that I built, you know, the pedals are on those. Has that changed much? I remember, like, I think there was a H9, a Big Sky. What's kind of the current pedals that you use when you can take pedals to a gig? What are you using these days?
The main unit is Quad Cortex. Mm-hmm. I'm pausing because I'm figuring out how to say it the right way. I'm very, very, very particular about clean tone. Mm-hmm. And a lot of emulators and amp simulators, blah, 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 whatever. Emulators like Super NES.
Yeah.
And those are whatever. Amp simulators and cab simulators can't get the squish and the top end and the punch of clean tone. And it's been really hard to dial in a lot of different settings, but I have a beta version of the plugin on the Quad Cortex.
And that's going to be available soon to everybody.
Hopefully, yes.
I've been in touch. I mean, our friends over at Neural are sponsor our podcast. And sponsor a lot of these videos. Yeah. You know, they've said that they're right on the precipice of that point where you'll be able to take those plugins. So if you do download them for that 30% off, you'll eventually be able to actually load them into a Quad Cortex and use them. And so, I
for a long time was trying to get a clean tone I liked out of it, and I couldn't until we put the plugin on there. And it was like, oh my gosh, yes. So once we got my plugin on there, kind of a beta version of that, it has changed my life as far as playing that. And then I have a few different overdrives and envelope filters, basically the pedals from here. It's the plugin on there. I finally dialed it in and road tested it to kind of send feedback back. So now you know that it's, 100 gigs proven. And then I'll use a volume wah, and then, which is also an expression pedal. And that's a little fun thing coming soon. I use the Shure DLX 16 or 16DX,
the wireless. Yeah, it's tuner and a wireless receiver. Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, yes. And I think that was still on all the rigs that I built for you too. Yeah,
I was using the Line 6 one for a long time. I like the way that one sounds, but I wasn't getting enough distance. Yeah. And maybe it was placement on the board and whatever, but I ended up liking the Shure one better.
And the tuner implementation is pretty handy too, just to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone as far as that's concerned.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm powering it all with the
Chalks.
The Chalks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have a new thing where I can power the neural
Crux.
DSP.
The Crux it can take the 24 volt out from the Chalks, which is like their expansion output. Yeah. And then you can use it into the Crux, so you don't have to parallel like 4 outputs that you would normally have to off of.
But could I, if I wanted a parallel 4?
You could, yeah. Yeah, you just need to have a cable made to do it that would just parallel of them all. What I'd like to do, Cory, is talk about one more song.
Let's go for it.
And this is a song at the time of our conversation is not yet released, but presumably will be out by the time this airs.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
When's this going to air?
Probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh,
from
it's
now.
going to be out.
Okay.
It's out.
So tell us the name of the song because I'm afraid I'm going to pronounce it wrong.
You're just afraid because it has a word inside the word and you feel awkward saying it.
I cannot tell a lie.
I wrote this tune with Bruce Hornsby, and he titled it Quotidian Fields.
Quotidian Fields. See?
Just because it has a word inside of it that, you know.
What word are you talking about?
Quote. This is one that, if I'm going to be honest, I can't just sit here and play the guitar part, but I want to talk about the guitar part because it's an orchestrated thing.
Okay. Can we listen to it?
Absolutely, we're going to listen to it. I'll show you exactly what I did, but it's not something, and I still have never played this live. I don't know how I'm going to do this live. Mm-hmm. So maybe you and the kind folks who write comments on videos who have lots of opinions might be able to tell me how to do this.
All the professional guitar players on YouTube.
We're a couple of them, you know?
So before you play it though.
Yes.
So you wrote this with Bruce Hornsby.
Yes.
And the range or no range?
Just Bruce. I was on the range. I was in Park City. Mm-hmm. In a car. Bruce Hornsby sends me some voice memos. Uh-huh. Hey, love the idea of writing a tune together. Because I've been a Bruce fan forever.
Yeah, me too.
And I interviewed him for my podcast. And during the podcast, I said, hey, I would love to work on something at any time. If you want to, great. He said, yeah, sure, cool. You know, and you know, everybody says, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
No, hardly anybody says, nah.
Right.
But most people say, yeah, cool. And you don't know whether it means yes or cool.
Yeah.
So a couple years later now, we were emailing back and forth, and I was working on this project with the Metropole Orchestra, the Metropole Orchestra, and it's a collab album. I was trying to figure out interesting things to do. I wanted it to be all instrumental, and I thought, you know, like you said earlier, when you can recognize somebody's voice just by hearing the way they touch the instrument, it's very cool. It's very unique. Yeah. And Hornsby is one of those people, one of the few people that when they sit down on the grand piano, I just know who it is.
Yeah.
You know, and an acoustic instrument, it's hard.
Yeah.
Tommy Emmanuel, I would know on an acoustic guitar. There's a handful of people that you'd know on an acoustic guitar. On an acoustic piano, handful of people that you'd know. And Hornsby is one of them. So we were emailing back and forth. He's just like, yeah, I actually have some of these ideas from a film score I was doing years ago. I didn't end up using. Let me know if any of them spark your interest. I listened through 5, 6 of them. And then all of a sudden I heard this one and it was just immediate. Yes, this is the one. I put it on and I immediately just started seeing like a visual. I saw a landscape.
Yeah.
And in the landscape, I'm listening to his piano in this recording and I'm seeing it and I'm just hearing I'm seeing this landscape in my head and I'm hearing it all filled in. So I got done and I started just making my own voice memo of, okay, here's what I'm envisioning for this. Here's how I should do this. And I went back to the studio, just started mocking up the demo. And then it was just pretty much, there it is. Mm-hmm. And then I replaced some of the demo stuff with the rhythm section at John Field's studio, my normal rhythm section, Pitar, Johannes and Kevin. And then had a bunch of arrangement ideas. So I went to Vince Mendoza, who's an incredible arranger, worked with him on the arrangement for the orchestra. Then we went and recorded the orchestra.
Wow.
But the guitars, it did not feel like it needed. I actually tried to record acoustic guitar on it. I tried to record just a regular melodic guitar, a regular rhythm guitar part. it all just felt stock.
Yeah.
It just felt like it wasn't anything special.
Mm-hmm.
And this felt like it needed some sort of unique treatment of the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying this thing recently where I'm using the guitar as a rhythmic undercurrent, where the part is recognizable, but it's almost more like a synth arpeggio, arpeggiated, that sort of thing, kind of, but very clearly a guitar. And what I did is I just harmonized the part. I double tracked it, harmonized it, doubled that, harmonized it again, created some different lines. And I guess the guitar is not something that would show up in a lead sheet of the song, but it is kind of this unique thing that gives it the rhythmic undercurrent and momentum. But I don't know how I'm going to do it live. The only time I've ever played this is when I tracked it in, and it was just, oh, there it is.
And then you sent it to him, and then he put his piano over it?
No, I used the original piano that he gave me. Yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing I did with that was, so it was a 5-minute piano track, just him playing. When I sent the demo back of what I did, Bruce was like, well, how are we going to come up with lyrics?
Yeah.
It's like, does this feel like it needs lyrics too? He's like, honestly, no. It's like, yeah, kind of cool, huh? He's like, oh, thank God, we don't have to write words to this. This is great. But that was part of the thing, is I wanted it to feel, as soon as you play it, you just know it's Bruce.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
let's
listen to it.
All right, so this starts actually with like this airplane noise that Bruce recorded on his
voice memo.
Yeah, on his MacBook laptop though.
Okay.
It's just airplane ambiance.
Huh.
And then I just added some Valhalla.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of the bed that sits underneath this whole thing.
It's in the key of the song.
Come on, who else is that going to be?
Yeah. Fretless.
Still no guitar. Guitar comes in here. So I guess live, I'll just play the main line.
Yeah. You could always put the track in though for the other stuff. You were gonna just have the harmony stuff. You can just leave those just leave those just running.
You think I play along with tracks?
Well, I mean, to supplement that many parts, you'd have to. There'd be no way around it.
I don't play with tracks live, bro. That's all live band, baby. Ain't no laptops on this stage.
Or just get a bunch of guitar players out there.
Now we're talking.
Just for that song.
Now we're talking. Just get a bunch of local union cats.
Yeah.
Just come in and read one song.
Yeah.
Very specific part. And it's all muted, So it kind of gives it a different thing.
And would this have been the guitar that you used on it, or did you use this?
Yep. Would have been this guitar.
And then in the 4 position.
Position 4, baby. Not position 2. See? Just lock it in. And sometimes when I do those fills, I'll Just kind of to put a little character on it.
And all Cory Wong plugins for
yes. So the guitar tone on this is just the default. Oh, and I didn't use a compressor on this, which means I was going into the Wong compressor on the way in.
Okay.
I normally don't use this compressor if I'm using my compressor.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So it's that.
A little bit of EQ.
A little bit of EQ just to take out
some of the low end there.
Yeah, especially because there's so many guitars. If there's 8 guitars going, it starts to just get a little too thumpy.
Yep.
And I needed to clear out a little low end. The transient master thing to just take out sustain, and then a little bit of the Wolf compressor.
Okay.
To just add a little more. And it all goes into a guitar bus, which has, this is just to kind of give it a specific tone characteristic.
Right.
And there's certain parts of the song where I...
so I was just boosting like some 500.
Yeah, or it's actually, in some cases, so if you watch this... So that's without it.
Right.
Kind of muffles it, gives it a little more, again,
more
just
filtered kind of thing. Yeah.
But then later it goes. And that's just an identical thing track. This one. So automating that just kind of opens it up.
Got it.
But yeah, down here. And this thing is just to kind of give it a little bit of that characteristic.
Right.
You know, like the cat with Krungbin, he kind of always has his wah pedal on, just to give everything a certain thing. A similar sort of. Then I think this one also. Oh, no, that one I didn't. Yeah, it's really just kind of that happening. Because that way the tone characteristic changes through the song a little bit.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not as impossible as I was originally saying to play this live. I know exactly what to do live. Yeah. I'll just play the main guitar part. Maybe use a doubler.
Yeah, you could do that.
What do you normally do for that? You'd use a delay, left side mix, 100% at 16 milliseconds or something?
I mean, there's pedals that would just do it. I think it would probably be the simpler way to just have like a double tracking effect.
Yeah.
Like a deco or something like that from Strymon could be an option.
That does that?
Yeah, it kind of does a double tracking thing. And there are other options too.
I think there's one in the Line 6. That's why I wanted to use...
Yeah.
The Quad Cortex doesn't have one, but...
Yeah.
Whatever. I think I got it through... The way that I did the double tracking thing on the Quad Cortex is... I used a ping pong delay, left only or something, hard pan,
and cranked up the mix or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it gives that effect. But
well, that's amazing. I had no idea that you did any work with Bruce Hornsby. He's certainly a favorite of mine.
Yeah. Well, to this day, it's not out, but now when this video comes out, the song will be out. The album will be out. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Cory, I can't emphasize how appreciative I am, not only having you as a friend, but having me come out here to Minneapolis and being able to shoot with you and talk about these songs and have you play them for me. It's an absolute privilege and an honor.
Yeah,
but before we finish, I want to show you a few photos and videos that I try to do with all of the guests.
Come at me.
And I did some really
what did you find?
Intense deep diving.
You didn't show him anything, did you? Good.
All tasteful.
You promised me nobody would
So I was going to show you some photos and videos from the past.
Oh, what is this?
The first one I wanted to show you, this is young Cory Wong. It looks like you had your Strat already, your Highway 1 there. Do you know or remember anything about this? I see there's a Taylor T5.
There's a Taylor T5 back there.
Yeah, you bought into it, huh? You were the one?
What? Yo, that guitar was dope.
Where is it now?
So this was at the Fine Line. This was at the Fine Line in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's my buddy Eric Foss, one of my best friends ever. We grew up playing music together, playing drums in the background. That's an old band of mine. There was 12 people. That's a Wednesday night. 12 people there. That is... I can even just tell by the way that we're in it right now, we are probably playing Lenny by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
And it looks like you got a Hot Rod DeVille or Deluxe over there. Yep,
the 212 version.
Yep, okay, so it would have been a DeVille. And you had your Line 6 M9 at that point, or was this...
no, this would have been... What would I have been using pedal-wise back then? This would have been a Tube Screamer, a Morley Wah. The Morley Wah I bought when I was in 9th grade. And that's all.
Yeah.
A Tube Screamer and a Morley Wah.
Love it. Love it. And your two guitars were the Highway 1 Strat and the Taylor T5.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How about this one right below it? This one looks like a familiar cast of characters.
Oh, man.
We see Kevin... We see Petar.
See Johannes.
Johannes.
That is the rhythm section for this last song, for Quotidian Fields.
Yeah. So
imagine these guys.
When do you think this was taken?
That was taken in 2011. That was at the Care 11 Studios in Golden Valley, Minnesota. That day, I met my childhood crush, Belinda Jensen, the local weather woman. Not me. I met her for the second time.
Shout out Belinda.
Yeah, she came to my elementary school in 2nd grade and talked about cumulus clouds. And I got an A in science that year because she motivated us. She was great. She invited us on the show. That is a band that we had called Foreign Motion. I'm using that 2-rock cab. That's actually my favorite cab I've ever owned.
Yeah, we looked in it yesterday. It's got a warehouse guitar speaker, ET65. We determined which they had like a 2-rock branded version of it.
Yes,
and 112.
A 112. What would I have been using as a head then, though?
I don't know. You're covering it, so I don't know that part.
I had a 2-rock, a custom reverb V3.
Yep. Okay.
And
50 watt or 100 watt?
100 watt. This is no shade on anybody. I bought it brand new and it kept blowing fuses.
Well, to 2-rock's credit, this was kind of during an unusual time where they had been purchased by the Premier Builders Guild, which was like a consortium of brands out of Pittsburgh. And so they kind of changed their manufacturing for a period of time, and then it was reclaimed by one of the original owners, Bill Crenard, and Eli Lester and Max Skinner, to take it over. And so I believe that era is definitely of bygone years that are no longer representative. I don't think of what 2-rock is doing now.
Biggest gear mistake of my life. I went to American Guitar Boutique and I played through a custom reverb V2 and it changed my, when you plug into that amp and it's just, the tone just melts you.
Yeah. You've
never felt more inspired or more, I should have just put it on layaway or something.
Yeah.
I had to save up. It's an expensive amp. I couldn't afford.
Even then, they were probably $4,000.
Yeah, I could not afford the amp. So it's like, man, I should have traded in all of my gear for that amp. But I couldn't afford it. Ended up saving up a bunch of money. And about a year later, I bought the V3 brand new. And it didn't have the same thing as the other one. And the fuses kept blowing. And I kept calling them. And they're like, the amp's fine. I'm like, I'm literally on every gig and the fuse blows and I don't know what to do. And it's like, I don't know anybody to fix. And they're like, well, if you don't bring it to an authorized dealer, the warranty's void and blah, blah. So finally, I don't remember what happened. It was the biggest bummer of any gear purchase I ever bought.
Yeah.
But I still have the cab. It's my favorite sounding cab.
Yeah.
Again, no shade, whatever. It's just that, whatever.
Well, I think we gave a good explanation for what the possible reasons could have been, and I think that's been resolved subsequently.
Great.
Here's another young Cory Wong photo. You got a cast on there.
Yeah.
But you still have. Is this still this guitar?
That would be that's a made in Mexico. I still have that guitar. It's all full of stickers now, though, because I tried to make it look like Billy Joe. I tried to make it look like Billy Joe's guitar.
Okay.
So at the time, I was obsessed with Green Day and Blink-182 and Weezer and the Chili Peppers. And those jeans would probably go for like $400 now.
Were those a Jenko?
That was a set of Jenkos right there.
All right. Big extended length pockets.
Extended back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Broke my arm snowboarding. My brother was a hockey player. I played hockey, but I couldn't keep up. Clearly, look at my physique there. And I stuck with the guitar.
Yeah.
Look at that chord voicing. What this guy's flexing, dude.
Oh, dude, you were
this
doing
guy's flexing right there. What's going on there? Yeah.
How old were you in that photo?
I was probably 12 or 13.
Wow. So this is a good juxtaposition to down here. Now you have your Cory Wong. This is an ad for your signature Stratocaster.
Right here, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that felt when Fender had approached you about the idea of having a signature guitar? I mean, it must have been every kid would dream about the idea.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about that call and kind of, the development of, I mean, you talked about what the specifics of the guitar, but maybe emotionally the getting that call and kind of getting to outfit your own guitar.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, when it came time to get a real guitar, so I had this $40 pawn shop guitar that I first started learning on. And finally, when I could prove to everybody that I was really in it for real, my dad said, all right, we'll go get you a Strat. Mm-hmm. I was like, what do you mean we'll go get me a Strat? Like, there's a lot of different guitars. He just kind of looked at me straight in the face. He's like, your boy John Frusciante, look at that guitar right there.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix,
yeah.
Eric Johnson,
yeah.
Yngwie Malmsteen, Mark Knopfler, Stevie Ray Vaughan. What are we doing here? We're going to get you a Strat right now. Let's go. It's like, okay, great. And that exact conversation, thinking back to that, and when the time came when Fender asked me to do a signature Stratocaster, to think about the lineage of signature Strats that are out there, Clapton, Jeff Beck, Yngwie, SRV, all these incredible musicians that have gone before, to be a part of that lineage and to be a part of that history of the Stratocaster is a true honor. And I was just, there's only a handful of things in life that really feel like objective markers of something you can look at as a checkpoint.
Yeah.
And this was one of the big ones that just felt like some sort of acknowledgement from a guitar community that, I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I'm worthy of, whatever. We all have our self-doubts. And
yeah. Well, I have to say, it is an amazing guitar. I'm a real Stratocaster pervert, self-admittedly. And if this is any representation, this is a really fantastic instrument.
This is straight off the rack.
Yeah. All right, well, let me show you a few videos. If I could reclaim my cellular device, I can show.
Please.
Thank you so much. All right, let's get into some of these videos here. So, first video here, Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah. I remember that gig.
Playing a little Cory Wong.
Oh, is this guitar?
Guitar. So the reason why I wanted to show you this, though, is that I believe that the rumor has it that you were the first band that wasn't signed to a major record label that sold out Madison Square Garden. Is that true?
I have heard that rumor. I can't speak for any other bands, but as far as us, yeah.
Yeah. And was that a multi-night residency, or was that just...
It was just one night.
It was one night.
Yeah.
So what was it like playing in Madison Square Garden?
Another one of those kind of checkpoint, feels like you made it to the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Sort of things. It was really fun because it just felt like... It felt monumental in a way beyond just, hey, we've accomplished some sort of success as a band or whatever. It felt more, in a lot of ways, like a statement for like the music student out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like for most of us, I was a music school dork that didn't really, like, sure, I think, yeah, maybe someday I'll play this, like if I'm playing in Dua Lipa's band or something. Like, I don't know what I was thinking at the time.
He needs you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd play bass, or I would murder the bass gig or murder the guitar gig with Dua, hands down. Anyways, I figured that would be the sort of thing that someday, sure, I'll play that sort of thing. But, you know, to be able to do music that we've developed as friends and that, you know, under Jack's vision, and to see Jack really have a vision and to say, no, we're going to do it this way. And so many people fight him on it. And for him to say, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. To see it actually get pulled off was really special. And, you know, for so many of us, we had a lot of our family around there. So it was really fun. Just get off the stage, and my brother and my dad are right there. And, and I see, you know, the other guy's parents there, just to really celebrate it. It was a very special night, and yeah, something that we'll obviously remember forever, just because it meant something more than a band reaching a certain level of success. It kind of it was a little bit of a statement, like you're saying, for a music industry thing on what's possible for independent bands in the modern era. Yeah, but also for people that are playing stuff that's not on the radio or that's muso leaning, that, you know, there's hope for the music students out there. Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that this won't be the last time you're on that stage, but that's just me. Well, thank you. Here's another one that I wanted to show you.
Seriously. They're going to be your family soon, too.
And we'll have yet another musician in the family.
That's right. Elaine said, Mr. Comstock.
Please, call me Barry.
Barry, I heard you play keyboards in a band. What kind of stuff do you guys do?
You know what? Maybe let's not talk about genre at the dinner table.
I like it. It's funny. I mean, what do you play? New age, jazz, classic rock? Let me guess. Polka, ska.
Cory, I'm telling you this as a guest. We don't say that word in my home.
What? Ska?
Jesus.
Look, Barry, just because you're miserable doesn't mean everyone else needs to be. It's happy, fun music.
It's a bunch of white kids ripping off reggae and dancing like fools, and frankly, I'm embarrassed you like it.
Again, you confuse third wave ska punk with classic two-tone bands like the Specials, which you'd know if you ever talk to your wife!
I like A Message to You, Rudy.
Stay out of this!
Guys, why don't we just take it down a notch?
You want us to take it down a notch?
Please.
You know what I'd like to take down a notch? That awful dubstep you're bumping at 6 a.m. each morning.
Yeah, don't you think you're a little bit old to be listening to Skrillex?
Dubstep. Dubstep! I listened to grime, which is a very different thing. So I'm sorry I disturbed you while you were working on your Limp Bizkit fan art.
Well, people on Tumblr really like it.
Okay, Dad. What is this? The early 2000s?
You shut your mouth! Papa Roach's new album's coming out this year, and I personally hear very good things!
No, there is no way. You've heard very good things because nobody has ever
You're a 54-year-old man with a puddle of mud poster in your office.
We need bands like Puddle of Mud now, more than
It's
ever.
time to
Nobody
move
has
on,
ever
Barry.
said.
What?
What do you guys think about politics?
Well, I'm an anarcho-communist myself.
And I wish Reagan was on his 10th term again.
And I'm a Green Party libertarian, but no, we don't let politics come between us.
Never. Would you like a second helping of anybody?
So this was from the great Cory Wong show that you had put on. This was, I think, from the second season.
That was from the first
That was
season.
from the first season.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite sketch piece of the whole entire thing, especially the line, "We need bands like Puddle of Mud now more than ever." But if you're watching this and you haven't seen the show that Cory Wong put out on YouTube, the whole thing is just masterfully done.
Thank you.
It is brilliant. I loved every episode, and that sketch was, representative of many others that were out there. But that was just one that was super memorable to me. I'm curious, one, is there going to be another season of the show? And secondly, what prompted you to develop this super produced show that would live on YouTube?
Yeah. I would love to do another season. My hope was to do another one by now, but it costs a lot of money.
I mean, with that sort of production value, I can't imagine.
Yeah. As soon as my kids wanted to get into sports, that started costing money, and I had to spend money on that.
Right.
So, yeah. Since I was a teenager, I had the idea of a variety show surrounded around music.
Yeah.
Like SNL meets The Late Show if the musicians took over.
Yeah.
And I always thought it would be really fun because these shows always have great musicians. They always have great bands, but you only get a glimpse of it.
Right.
So I thought it'd be cool to have a show where the band and the band leader is the host.
Yeah.
Had that idea for a long time. Always been really interested and enamored by talk shows and late night shows and that sort of thing. I love it. But I just never had the resources or, I guess the resources or creative energy to make it happen.
Yeah.
And finally, I had, during the thing, again, I was trying to find ways to stay busy, and the thing in 2020, I was trying to find ways to stay creative and busy, and just started working on ideas for it and finally developing stuff and, working with people who could help me make it happen.
Okay.
And I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to put it out as a free YouTube show and see what happens. And, my thought was I could either make an album and have an album budget and a music video budget and do that like I normally would, or I could have that along with this and have it cost even more, but at least it's part of an album budget. At least it's pointing towards an album. So the 2 seasons that I did, it was really, in a lot of ways, promo for the albums that were associated with it. We recorded all the music live on set.
Yeah, because you'd have like Cody Fry or somebody come in and do the song, that you do with it.
So I'd interview the guest, and then we would record the song for the album live on the soundstage. And it was really fun to do. It was amazing. I would love to do more of it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of figuring out a way to make it work that makes sense. But the last record I did, I wanted to do, well, obviously this one that I just put out with the Metropole Orchestra was a studio album. And the one before that was a studio record that I wanted to just be able to hone in the sound a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I do love doing the variety show, and I hope to be able to do again. It's just been, I don't know, been trying to also find the right partner or something to do it with.
Yeah.
Because it would be fun
so
to have some
Netflix,
help.
Amazon, Hulu, if you're listening, you got your guy right here.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. I'm down.
Apple TV, we don't leave them out.
Oh, don't leave out Apple.
Yeah.
Don't leave out Weibo.
You want me to? You're
Samsung Plus.
Go Weevo. We're gonna go Weevo on this.
No, Weevo. I'll let Weevo on red.
Roku.
Yeah, I'm down with Roku. Yeah, let's go.
Right. So you've heard them all.
What was that service that the Jury Duty show was on?
That was Amazon, wasn't it? Or free.
I feel like everybody got that service because that Jury Duty show was on it.
It's a great show.
Amazing show. Anyway.
Yeah, free plug there for Amazon or whatever.
It wasn't Amazon. It was some.
It was
other
on
thing.
Amazon, but it was like a subsidiary. I feel like it's a subsidiary. But
Vertex TV.
Vertex TV, yeah. Last thing I want to show you, Cory, before we complete today, was one of the few pieces of music that I've seen where the day it came out, I was absolutely dumbfounded and awestruck by just like the groove and the rhythm and the tone. I remember just sitting there and watching it over and over again, like 10 times. Here it is.
I thought you were like going to show me a snarky puppy video. And I'd be like, oh, yes.
So tell me about how the Fearless Flyers came to be.
Yes.
And man, I mean, that song was just hypnotic. I was so into it. I was listening to it over and over and over again. Tell us about the Fearless Flyers. How'd this come to be?
That, again, it's just Jack's vision. Jack Stratton had this vision. One day he was just like, band's called the Fearless Flyers. 3 guitars on stand, guitar, baritone guitar, bass, kick, snare, hat. It's Nate Smith.
Yeah.
Boom. That was it. He just had the full vision. And then we were on the road and he's just like, Cory, can you just like make this happen? So I cold emailed Nate Smith, gave him the pitch. He's like, yeah, I'm familiar with Vulfpeck. I'm familiar with whatever. Cause you know, it's going to be our kind of first side project with Vulfpeck. And, Nate was just down, you know, he was familiar and thought it was a fun idea. I cold emailed Mark Lettieri and, you know, gave him the pitch. He called me, we talked about it and he said no. And, then he called me 20 minutes later. He's like, yeah, never mind. Yes, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. And, a month and a half later, we went in the studio and recorded the album over 3 days, and that was the band.
Wow.
I had never met Nate or Mark in person before the session.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you guys kind of develop those on your own, or did you kind of have the song framework and then kind of built it off of that?
That was another thing where Jack had a handful of ideas that he had seen. Oh, Nate has this one groove from this video.
Yeah.
At the time, there was the legendary Nate Smith videos going around. So Jack kind of pinpointed a timestamp on a few of those and said, oh, let's take this. Let's build something off of it. Mark, I saw this video of you jamming and there was this sort of thing. Let's build this and do this. Cory, you have these things.
Yeah.
Let's build Joe, blah, 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 blah. And then I also had a few song ideas in the can ready to go in case in the moment it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
We would at least have a few things that we could lean on.
Yeah.
That had some sort of structure and we could just figure it out. But
yeah.
The fun part was just kind of making it all happen right there in the room.
Yeah.
So we did 2 songs a day, 3 days in a row. You know, we were in the studio maybe 45 minutes each day.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Cory, again, I can't appreciate you enough for having me here. I also like to thank our friends at Reverb and Echo here in Minnesota for having us, and just absolutely gorgeous space. And lovely people, lovely equipment, and
Yeah, it's all going to get sold on Sweetwater.
yeah, Sweetwater's Gear Exchange. So stay tuned. They're going to set up their store. And man, Cory, it's just I'm really grateful to have you as a friend, and
Likewise.
just so glad to be sitting here with you. And thank you for your contribution to music and everything that you do.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quotidian Fields. See?
Just because it has a word inside of it that,
What word are you talking about?
quote.